Bringing sports, entertainment, and technology podcasts together. This is SPNT.
Red vs. Red is brought to you by Stitcher Smart Radio. Download the Stitcher Smart Radio app today at stitcher.com/SPNT. What's happening, everybody? It's Red vs. Red here on the SPNT Podcast Network. We're on a I guess you could call it an international break here yet again. Feels like we just had one not too long ago, but we're glad you could join us here on Red vs. Red. It's the podcast where we break down all things Liverpool and Manchester United. I am Nick Superling, joined alongside my co-host, partner from all the way across the pond in England himself. He's Mike Smith. Mike, how you been, man?
Bit cold this week. I had today off work. I hope no one from work's listening to this, but but you know, I'm just a bit cold, but you know, I'll be able to make it. So forgive me if I sound a bit hoarse.
Mike taught me a new term this week, and that is man flu. I've never heard of man flu before.
Yeah, it's just where generally you have a bit of a bad cold, moan about it, and the wife, girlfriend, mother just says, "Oh, you got man flu." Then just generally dismisses your dismisses your illness. So I wouldn't go repeating that to your wife, Nick, or to anyone else, to anyone else's wife in the near future. But yeah.
Well, hey, we got a lot to talk about. United. Since we last spoke, I know that Manchester United has won 2 games. Liverpool. You drew and lost, I believe. So I mean, we've got a lot to cover. Do you have a coin in front of you? Because I don't.
I don't actually know.
Right. I got one right here.
I
got one, and we're gonna do this coin toss live on the show. Gotta love the preparedness we have here on Red versus Red. Call it in the air, Mike. You win. Heads. Heads it is.
5. Nick, that makes it 5-5.
I know. I can't believe it. We're tied after such a huge start for myself. So what do you want to do? You want to go first or second?
I will go second today.
All right. Of course, it would also help. I'm so out of practice. How about I try playing the correct sound file? Let's try this again. There's the whistle. Okay, so like I said, we talk about Manchester United and Liverpool for each and every podcast. I get 15 minutes. Mike gets 15 minutes. So we'll start first with Manchester United. We'll go back to the Champions League game against Cluj. They win 2-1. Probably, I would say, a shaky game from a defensive standpoint. But, Mike, the fact that they come out on top now, I believe they're 2-0 in the group, which is good, considering a year ago they bowed out for this stage, so you'll take a win.
Yeah, it's a tough away day for Manchester United. It's not easy going out to Eastern Europe. I think in the past, Sir Alex has always said that these are the kind of trips that the club doesn't need at this stage of the season. Again, they're also somewhat of an unknown quantity. I don't really know much about the Romanian Premier League. I'm not sure anyone else outside of Romania knows anything about it either. But a good victory for Manchester United. Yeah, going winning both games so far. 100% start in the Champions League. You mentioned last season it was disappointing. They went out of the group stage. I think Ferguson's learned from that last season. I don't think he'll have any problems this season from getting out of the group stages at all. Van Persie again with the winner. It goes on, Nick, doesn't it? It just goes on and on and on. This scoring run of his.
He's the man. I'm thankful that Sir Alex signed him. At the beginning of the season, I was questioning the signing of whether or not it was needed, but I think it's safe to say that everybody in Manchester and who are United supporters firmly are behind RVP now because really at the moment it seems like he's our only goal scoring threat. Now we move on to the game against Newcastle, and I was shocked at how well they were able to execute those set plays in the first half to get up to a 2-0 lead over Newcastle. Johnny Evans with a header, which was spectacular. I'm trying to think who else scored the other header. I know it was two of them. Of course, it figures that I'm going to draw a blank here. And I knew it was another defender. Evra had a good goal. Yep. I don't know if that was a header, but it was still a good goal.
It was a header from a corner.
So they were both headers.
Both headers. And you must have seen the third goal.
I did see the third goal. There's been some debate on whether or not it was a shot or a cross. I happen to think it was a shot, but that's just me.
I happen to think that it was what we call a cross come shot. I'll tell you why, because if you watch it closely after the goal, in slow mo, all the players come over to give him a hug, and if you can lip read, I'm no expert in lip reading, but if you look at the lip read, he says, "I never meant that." Oh. So I think I don't think he meant it, but it doesn't really matter, does it? Even if he did, no keeper could have saved that shot. There was a brilliant camera angle the BBC had of the goal, and you can just see this small window of light of where the ball should be, and it fits in there like it was like throwing a peanut through a pinhead. It was that good. It was that good. It was that good a goal. And Newcastle, after awarding Alan Pardew an 8-year contract, as I mentioned in the previous show, lose 3-0 at home to Manchester United. Sloppy work by Newcastle, but hey, a great comeback from United considering the previous weeks.
And not only that, but considering the same fixture a year ago up at St. James's Park, which is now back to being St. James's Park, they lost 3-0 there. So considering what transpired a year ago, to come back and they really pretty much dominated the game from the beginning, Mike. You noticed against Spurs they came out flat. Came out flat against the Saints of Southampton. They were bailed out by RVP. So I mean, hey, a win is a win. Yeah, chalk up another 3 points, and United keep going up the table. And really, that's all we can hope for. Especially, you got to win the games you're supposed to win. So I'll give them the Spurs game. That was a tough game, but I'm glad that they beat Newcastle, and I'm looking forward to some fixtures here in the future. Now, moving on, I want to talk about a couple things that are Manchester United related, but they're more they deal more with the England scene as far as football goes, and that is Wayne Rooney and Danny Welbeck today, Mike, scoring braces for the Three Lions against San Marino.
Yeah, that powerhouse of a nation known as known as San Marino.
How big is San Marino?
Yeah, just quite disturbingly for England. Wayne Rooney looked our best player, and no one else really came up. No one else really came up to the mark. Rooney captained the side for the first time as well. So congratulations to him on captaining your country. Yeah, they seemed perfectly in tune. Cleverly also played for England as well. So you have that nice three-man combo. Yeah, Rooney scored quite a good second goal, bit of a curler into the right-hand corner, but the result never really looked in doubt. And what's going to be interesting is the away game on Tuesday, away to Poland, who are a much tougher prospect than San Marino. Again, I know three of the Polish players. They happen to play for Borussia Dortmund, who played to Manchester's first team, Manchester City, last week. They got Robert Lewandowski, Lucas Piszczek, and they have Jakub Blaszczykowski, who are much better, who are quite well. They are really good players for Borussia Dortmund, and they'd be quite impressive. Poland. during the last few games in like the international scene on the international scene. So
did you play them in the Euros?
Did we play him in Europe? Oh, flipping heck.
I thought you did. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, we no, we didn't. No, we played. The only host team we played was Ukraine. We didn't play Poland. They played Russia, and they had. I think they drew 2-2 with Russia in the last game. It was quite a good match. Yeah, they generally disappointed during the European Championships, but it seems to be for qualification for tournaments. They're a lot more consistent. So yeah, Danny Welbeck, Wayne Rooney, and Tom Cleverley going into the Poland game going to be. They're going to be seen as I'd say the senior players. And also Nick, need not forget what a comeback from Rooney considering his injury.
Yeah, I think it's nice to see him back to form, and he's a guy that when he's healthy, Mike, and when he's on top form, you could argue that he's one of the best 3 or 4 players in the world. I mean, that's just how good he is, and he's not even playing up top for us right now. He's playing more of a central midfield role where he's distributing the ball, and he's not the attacking threat of 2 or 3 seasons ago when he scored nearly 30 goals. And I say that, and you look at what he did a year ago, he was the second highest goal scorer in the league behind Robin van Persie. So he's a guy that you're all right there. He's a guy that when he's playing his best, he's awfully tough to stop.
Definitely. It's going on to Danny Welbeck. It's quite sad for England at the moment, the fact that Danny Welbeck can get a start for his country, but he can't get a start for Manchester United because you know how good like Robin van Persie has been playing at the moment. It does beg the question about how good a standard that footballers are coming out playing for England nowadays. Not to take it away from Danny Welbeck, because he scored 2 goals this evening, and when he's been called upon to play for his country, he's never let us down. But I just think it's quite sad that the club he plays, he finds it easy to play a game for England than he does a game for Manchester United. But I think until Robin van Persie either gets injured or he hits a run of poor form, then he's going to struggle to get into that lineup. Nick, just want to go over one more topic. I think it's been quite a frequent topic the last few weeks. The Man United defence. It's still 3-0 against Newcastle, great. And De Gea made a wonderful save against Ibrahim Bar, but he's still struggling though. It still looks as if it goes from games against Spurs where it concedes 3 goals to, on the other hand, you're scoring goals from set pieces, and that takes the pressure off. But really, it seems as though like it's Ferdinand, it's Rio Ferdinand's back there. I know Johnny Evans is back there as well, but in terms of that quality, it's probably the weak. Would you say? Like I think it's the weakest area of the team at the moment.
Oh, without a doubt. You don't know what you're going to get. I mean, we've seen Raphael have good games offensively, but defensively, he's a huge liability. Rio has been serviceable. He's not the same Rio of 2 or 3 years ago, where, and I'd even argue maybe even longer than that. They do miss Vidic. Evra has been okay. But you're right. It's and what I like about Liverpool, Mike, is who's going to be in net every week. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but with United, there's no consistency. Like you can't develop a rhythm or a rapport with your defense if you're constantly shuffling goalkeepers. Now, I don't know which keeper you throw out there because you spent a ton of money on De Gea, but at the same time, I think that Lindegaard is just as good, if not better than him. So it's a tough call. And I guess you have the luxury of having 2 number 1 goalkeepers, I guess, but I don't know. That's where I'm kind of torn, and I'm not sure what they should do there, because they are giving up an awful lot of goals, and we saw it a year ago. The title was won on goal difference. Now, unless United are going to go out and start scoring 5, 6 goals a game and giving up 2, then okay. But you can't be winning 1-goal games, 3-2, 2-1. That's why the 3-0 victory over Newcastle, I think, was huge, because they didn't allow a goal, and now they can maybe build on that momentum.
You say about the goalkeeping situation at Man United. I would just point out that De Gea is still quite a young man, and he has got time on his side to improve. Although he was the Atletico Madrid #1, he certainly wasn't the finished article when he came to Manchester United. And I think that, given time, I think he will gradually grow into that position. But I think Ferguson also, he seems to be playing both #1s off each other, and the fact that he's kind of waiting for one to make a mistake, and then bringing the next guy in. Now, ethically, that might not seem the nicest thing to do,
Right?
but Ferguson knows it's a results game. United are generally expected to win every single game, and he'll put out the strongest team. And if that means that, he's going to be dropping David De Gea, so be it. But I think De Gea's done wonders, though, against Newcastle. That save he made against Demba Ba
Was pretty
and that
awesome.
showed. Well, that was the quality coming through from David De Gea.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's also you got to give and take as well. The defence isn't settled yet, and I think once the defence is settled, the goalkeeping situation will be settled. I know the problem for Man United is that you've had this history of Peter Schmeichel was the undisputed #1. Edward van der Sar was the undisputed #1, and now you spend a lot of money on David De Gea. You expect to be the #1, and
Yeah.
he's not. He's still prone to the odd error here and there. But Lindegaard is an experienced keeper, and he's seen it, and he has seen it also. It's just experience. I'd give De Gea time, but if he's still continuing to make mistakes, then maybe Ferguson will go into the market for another keeper. But I don't know who we'd go and pick, though.
I don't know who he would pick, or where he'd get the money to spend on a keeper.
Yeah.
That's another big issue too.
Maybe Brad Friedel. He's not getting many games. He's a quality keeper at Spurs, and he doesn't seem to be getting any games at the moment.
He's actually older than me.
He's older than me, so still hope for us yet, Nick.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, that's halftime here on Red versus Red. We're glad you could join us here on the podcast. Don't forget you can email us at redversusred@spnt.tv. You can give us a follow on Twitter at SPNT_Red versus Red. Don't forget you can rate and review the show on iTunes. We'd love to hear your feedback, so make sure you do that. Do a keyword search, Red versus Red, in the iTunes store, where you'll be able to find our podcast listed there each and every week. Like I said, we'd love to hear your feedback, whether it's good or bad. So if you can leave a review in iTunes, we certainly would appreciate it. And if you don't feel like leaving it in iTunes, you just want to email us. Again, that email address is redversusred@spnt.tv. Mike, is there anything that we need to do? Do you have a shout-out? Because I don't have a shout-out this week.
Yeah, I've got a shout-out.
Oh, awesome.
Shout-outs!
It's a bit of a love shout-out this week. It was my birthday last Saturday. I turned the grand old age of 29. And I'd like to thank my wife, and give a shout out to my wife, Charlotte, for a wonderful, wonderful day. A lovely time, a lovely weekend. Spent it up in London. Lots of food, lots of drink. Again, but unfortunately, she did make me miss a Bengals game. So it wasn't necessarily perfect. But it's a big shout out to her, and you can follow her at Char Eggnog on Twitter. But be wary, because she's a Crystal Palace fan, so I don't think you'll get much back from her when you talk to her about Liverpool or Man United.
So your birthday was on the 6th?
That's right, yeah.
So your birthday was on the 6th. My anniversary was on the 7th. So big shout out. So I have a shout out, actually. A big shout out to my wife. Happy anniversary, honey. To a wonderful 6 years. We've been together for 9.
Well saved, Nick. Well saved.
Hey, hey, what are you going to do? But yeah, we had a lot of fun. Actually, I had fun that day because she was ill. So she stayed in bed all day. So I got to watch the Manchester United game, the Cincinnati Bengals game, and then the Cincinnati Reds game. So it was a big day on Sunday. So anyway, shout outs to my wife. Happy anniversary, Sarah. I love you. And wow, this became an extreme cheese fest. I think we should switch gears. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, it started to smell like a Packers cast at the moment. It's
Just
so
remember, if you want to be shouted out, hit us up on Twitter at SPNT_Red versus Red, or email us at redversusred@spnt.tv. The second half's about to get kicked off here. Mike, why don't you go ahead?
The mighty Reds, or the not so mighty Reds, or the woeful Reds, or the just downright despicable Reds, lost on last Thursday at home to Italian club Udinese. For 45 minutes, first half, 1-0 up, seemed comfortable. And then the next 20 minutes, quite frankly, Liverpool went a bit crazy. First of all, Di Natale scored a great equaliser for Udinese. Then Liverpool scored an own goal. Then one of the Udinese defenders from a corner scored another goal. And then we got back to 3-2 after Shelby, again, made it 3-2 to the Reds. A bad loss at home in the Europa League group. Despite what's said about the Europa League, really it's a competition that Liverpool should be doing and could be doing well in this season, considering our league form isn't necessarily the best. Speaking of league form, 0-0 against Stoke City. Watching the highlights of this game, I don't know what Liverpool have done to anger the footballing gods at the moment. We hit the post 3 times again this season. We had numerous chances. Unfortunately, the game is probably going to be remembered for a couple of unsavoury incidences. First and foremost, in the first half, Robert Huth decided to take a stamp, do the stamp dance on Luis Suarez's chest. Missed by 3 officials, except the 45,000 other people in the crowd as well. Nice little mark on Suarez's chest. And then in the second half, Suarez, yeah, he did it. He took a dive in the box. He was clipped. He was after a penalty. It was desperate measures by a desperate man. Except this dive, well, quite frankly, it would win a Razzie. It was it was appalling dive. And you okay there, Nick?
Yeah, you just make me laugh, Mike.
I'm glad it's somebody. And then Tony Pulis, after the game,
who, by the way, has come out a couple times this year already, ripping the diving. So this is not new to him.
No, it's not new to him, but he allows his players to stamp on the chests and commit grievous bodily harm. So yeah, I don't see the consistency behind it. I think he should get his own house in order before he starts commenting.
Come on now, no blood, no foul. You ever hear that? No blood, no foul. Unless there was blood.
But it seems to be that Luis Suarez, again, is in the headlines for the wrong reason. I just felt Pulis was just taking his name out in vain because it was an easy target. There's been plenty of other players in the Premier League who have been diving. Gareth Bale should have won an Oscar for his dive at the weekend. Danny Welbeck's dive.
There's no diving in football. What are you talking about?
There's plenty of diving in.
Ashley Young twice last year. Ugh.
Ashley Young twice last year.
My own team.
It's horrible. I don't like it. It's cheating. But I think we've got to accept it's part of the game. And I think that maybe some referees need a bit of tuition in terms of what is simulation and what isn't simulation. And I think Luis Suarez has got to really just stop looking for a referee straight away in terms of when he does get fouled in the box. And he tries and, you win a penalty by naturally falling over by someone actually fouling you rather than looking for it yourself. I mean, we all knew what Stoke were going to do and what are you going to do to him on the Sunday? That's the way they like to play a rough game.
Right.
But it doesn't. Luis Suarez has not helped himself. One by his previous season shenanigans with Prachisever, and now this. Liverpool should have won the game, but it's been again remembered for the wrong reasons. I mean, the media, the fans moan about diving, but if you should watch a lot of other leagues in Europe, even around the world,
you know how they could eliminate this?
It's nowhere near as bad.
Oh.
Nowhere near as bad in the Premier League as it is everywhere else. However, that's not an excuse. I honestly think referees need training in it, and I think that honestly, if you dive, you try and win a penalty, it should be a red card. So I don't think the fines, and I don't think necessarily what's happening at the moment is really helping the situation. I think banning players for games is the only way to get the message through that cheating and diving is not going to be tolerated within the Premier League.
There's one thing I was going to say. There's one way you could avoid the diving, and granted, it will never ever happen. I know that because there are too many quote unquote soccer purists out there. But what if you eliminated the penalty kick altogether?
What, just for diving?
Right. Like, say if you get fouled in the box, it's a free kick instead of a penalty kick.
An indirect free kick.
Right.
No,
I'm just saying it would never happen. I understand that. But that is one way to eliminate the diving, and that is you don't get a penalty for fouls in the box. Now, what it might do is it might make players who are defending in the box more prone to hard fouls, which I guess that's probably what they're trying to avoid. But I don't know. That's one way to avoid the diving.
I have another suggestion. My suggestion is artificial turf. Because if you want to dive on that, then you must have got knees made of asbestos, because that just rips your skin off anything having that. And I think we'll find all of a sudden who are the real hard men of the game, whether you want to dive on that. No, the penalty kick never be eliminated. I just think it's red cards and bans, but then you open the prospect of a referee sending off a player who hasn't dived.
Right.
As a miscarriage of justice, you always run that risk. But it's something that I think it's here to stay. Unfortunately, it's a modern part of the game, and it would be lovely to have it eliminated. And eliminating the penalty kick, I just can't see that. It's been part of the game for so long, and maybe that as an idea, then maybe players would think a second thought about doing it or not. But then the other arguments are that penalty kicks are won because of good tactical play, and defenders are reduced to fouling you in the box and for handballs and things. I mean,
no, I would still leave him for handballs. Yeah, I would still leave him for that. But if I'm talking about for just foul, just
so
fouls.
It would be an indirect free kick, like when a goalkeeper picks up a back pass. It's not a penalty.
If somebody's gonna, okay, so if somebody dives or is deemed to be fouled in the box, instead of it being a penalty kick, make it a direct kick from the spot. Not from the penalty spot, from where the player is fouled.
Will any players be in the way?
Yes.
It should be like a normal free kick, for example. So
right.
You start for 10 yards. I can't see it. I can't see it happening. I think that the rules and the dimensions of the game are fine what they are. I just think it's. I just think. I mean, my original point was I thought Tony Pulis was quite hypocritical in coming out and criticising Suarez in particular when his own team are quite dirty, and I think that if his team were looking for a win, he had a player through on goal, and maybe he was tackled fairly. I mean, would he expect one of his players taking a dive? I think he would expect. I think he would expect that, or would tell his player, as soon as you get touched in the box, you go down. But he's in front of the cameras straight after the game. He's got a microphone shoved in his face. He's got a chance to explain himself. But all in all, I don't think he's made himself a very popular man in Liverpool circles. But he doesn't care. He's got his point. He's got Stoke City a point.
Right.
Just moving on. Liverpool's next game. I'll probably cover this on Wednesday's podcast. Home to Reading, newly promoted Reading. I don't really know what to expect from this game, quite frankly. We can quite easily beat Norwich away 5-2 and then lose at home to Udinese 3-2. So that's another point. Liverpool haven't won the home game this season. It's becoming a right bogey ground for his Anfield. Brendan Rodgers has not had a win yet. I think we really need this win. We really need something to get that monkey off his back. Especially as he was on about, if you've been watching Being Liverpool, how he wants to make Anfield a fortress this season. It doesn't seem to be happening. It just seems to be like whether it's bad luck, whether it's intimidation, or it's a number of things. We really need that monkey off our back, and hopefully a win at home to Reading will hopefully sort that out. Just again, Nick, as you mentioned before on the England scene, John Joe Shelby played for England tonight.
Really?
I think he's been. Yeah, he came off at the bench and he got a game.
I didn't even know he was English.
Yeah, he is. Do you think? Yeah, he's English. He's South London boy, ain't he? He's from. he's English through and through. Just to make a point, Liverpool signed him from Charlton Athletic when he was 19 for £2 million. Jordan Henderson tonight played for England under 21s. I didn't realise how young Jordan Henderson was.
Wow.
And he cost Liverpool £20 million. Who's a better player?
That's crazy. That is so crazy to think about that. Wow. Oh, my gosh. He didn't even play for the first team. He was playing with the under 21s.
Well, I thought he was older than that, which makes me feel a bit sorry for him now because at 21 years old, that's a lot of pressure to be put upon having a fee that big. But who's the better player, John Joe Shelby or Jordan Henderson?
I'd have to say if you had to ask that question right now, you got to go with Shelby. It's
got to be John Joe Shelby, hasn't it? And big ups to him getting his first England cap. He's done well. He's what I do love about him the fact he seems to he's forced himself into the first team, and the fact he's got Gerrard, he's got Shaheen, he's got Allen to compete against, but he won't go away. He's trying to make that spot his own. And I think it's wonderful to see. Finally, we seem to finally have a player who we've brought in from another club, from a lower division club, coming through and seizing that opportunity. And I think it just goes to show that demonstrates to other clubs that you can, with the right scouting and the right attention, you can find these gems from the lower divisions. And I think also you could. I mean, Jordan Henderson will be a good player, I'm sure of that. But John Joe Shelby's had to fight all the way for his career to get that first team spot from coming from Charlton. Whereas Jordan Henderson, in my opinion, he seems to have been, I suppose, wrapped in cotton wool a bit. And I think it's just coming through now that Shelby has that ruthless streak. I mean, he got sent off against Man United and he dared have a go at Ferguson on the touchline. I think that shows the type of player you seem to be looking at with John Joe Shelby.
He is definitely fiery, that's for sure.
I think it's the type of guy we need, really, that sort of enforcer who can play around a bit, especially as Gerrard's not getting any younger. Further good news at Liverpool: Daniel Agger signed a 2-year contract extension.
I bet you're happy.
I was going to mention maybe next week that if Daniel Agger gets a new contract, I'll put his name on the back of my Liverpool shirt. He saved me £10 in doing that, so thanks very much, Daniel Agger. Yeah, he signed a 2-year extension, so he's 27. His contract was due to expire in 2014. That means we'll have him to about the age of 30. So then I think that's about right to assess to assess a new contract. So his history at Anfield: 176 appearances. He scored 9 goals, which for a defender is not bad. Not bad for a centre half. And that return, and it's certainly better than Andy Carroll's ratio. I know, harsh, isn't it? It was quite harsh. So Liverpool in this off-season have signed Luis Suarez, Martin Skirtle, and John Joe Shelby to new long-term contracts, which is great news at Anfield. We seem to be signing the right players up for and to extend their period at Anfield. Just before we go, Nick, just want to point out, a bit early, but October 28th, Everton Liverpool, crucial times. United have played Everton at Goodison already this season
and lost.
What should Liverpool expect?
So you better bring your A game. I will say this: Everton started out very hot, and I would say that they've probably cooled down. I don't know. Maybe I'd say they've cooled down maybe as much as Swansea. I mean, you talk about cooling off big time. I mean, Swansea, they were really rolling there, and I couldn't tell you the last time they won a game, Mike.
It's certainly been a while. It's been a while today. So the music.
The music is on. That means stoppage time here on Red versus Red. Go for it.
It's turkey time.
That never gets old, Mike.
Oh, it won't, Nick. Just to run through the Premier League results. City 3, Sunderland 0. Easy. Wigan 2, Everton 2. That blip in Everton's form. Certainly been highlighted there for poor result for the Toffees. West Brom 3, QPR 2. Mark Hughes gets the vote of confidence as from the board.
Oh, that's never good.
Mark Hughes. Swans 2, Reading 2. Swans take a swan dive through the division at the moment.
Wow.
Chelsea 4, Norwich 1. Well, Chelsea was absolutely magnificent in this game. They were quite... And Norwich took the lead. Let's just remind that, but Chelsea were magnificent. Be afraid, be very afraid, Premier League. West Ham 1, Arsenal 3. Santi Cazorla, magnificent for Arsenal this game, magnificent. Newcastle 0, United 3, we've covered that. Liverpool 0, Stoke 0, covered that. Spurs 2, Aston Villa 0. Villa looking, well, they're looking awful, mate. They're looking absolutely dreadful, and they're 16th at the moment. Your tip to go down. It ain't looking good for Paul Lambert and the boys at the moment. And the final result, I've lost the place on their page. This is how professional I... Oh, Southampton 2, Fulham 2. This is quite an interesting game. Southampton 1-0 up, took off Ricky Lambert, took off their captain. 2-1 down, and then they get back to draw at 2-2. What was Nigel Adkins thinking? Taking off his best players at home, and then he gets just desserts by going 2-2.
Sounds very familiar.
Sounds very familiar at the moment. Sounds somewhat familiar.
Well, here in stoppage time, we've got a big game here in the States tonight as the United States take on Antigua and Barbuda, or Barbados. It's a small country, small island somewhere.
It's beautiful. This is a beautiful country.
Yeah, so the United States needing a win to advance to the next stage of qualifying. So, Mike, your team won tonight. Hopefully, my squad here wins as well. We got about 50 seconds left in the show.
Yeah, I don't really know much about the States team at the moment. Is Clint Dempsey, Brad Friedel, they're about the only guys I know.
Friedel doesn't even play. Friedel's not even on the team. So
shocking.
Tim Howard is.
Timmy's still playing. Timmy's playing for the States. Yeah, should be a win. Should be a win for United States there. I'm thinking. Well, it just wouldn't be a World Cup without United States, would it? They have such an arduous and tough qualifying process, Nick. It'd be not a shame for the world of football to not see the States.
I know.
Go down to Brazil in 2 years' time.
Well, hey, that's going to do it for this episode of Red versus Red. Mike and I will see you on Wednesday. Until then, go Reds. Yours and mine. What the hell?
What the fuck? Oh, shit.